back to Mediopolis, the show which investigates our obsession with the digital age and its effects on our society and generation. My name is Ailish Oliver-Kirby.
And my name is Marlies Martin. Last week we heard from an early childhood education professional, Hayley Carrick, on kindergarten-aged children's obsession with technology.
We also had our reporters hear from people around Otago University's campus about their heavy use of social media.
And of course, an unforgettable montage of the best ever viral YouTube clips put together by our editor Charlie that sent planking, twerking and Harlem shakes all over the world.
Marley here also showed us a package of the history of Facebook as it celebrates its 10th birthday this year. It has become an addictive part of our everyday lives, but is Facebook dying out as newer and faster technologies are becoming more popular? I will be analysing this later on in the show.
Our reporter Georgia Baker interviews a new young journalist, Jeffrey McTainch, a journalist for both Radio Live and TV3, to find out how he feels technology and new media impacts to journalism and the media industry.
And later, Marley will be interviewing Brett Nichols, lecturer and acting head of the Communications Department here at the University of Otago. Brett has a wealth of knowledge in the field of media theory, and we're very much looking forward to hearing how he believes new technology and social media is having an effect on our society and generation.
And last week we spoke about how social media circulates ridiculous and worrying fads like the box gap and the bikini bridge, and how this could be linked to insecurity and eating disorders in young women. We will continue this discussion with a montage of clips that represented women in media, both in New Zealand and overseas.
But first, it's time for our weekly social experiment.
So as seen here, over 67 of our friends took part in these polls on Facebook. When asked if you would rather give up the internet or sex, 77% of the people said they would rather give up the internet. In an official anonymous poll by the UK's Daily Mail, 73% said they would rather give up sex as opposed to the internet.
And in this poll, 76% of our friends said that they would rather keep their toothbrush than their smartphone, even though an official poll by the Richmond Institute stated that the majority of iPhone users would rather keep their iPhone than their toothbrush. So maybe our friends are just really into oral hygiene, or maybe these Facebook polls aren't really reliable sources. These polls on Facebook aren't anonymous, so everyone can see what everybody does. Maybe we don't want our friends to know how we actually feel. Are we ashamed of our use of social media and our obsession with our phones and computers? Although trying to imagine life without using your phone or computers seems almost impossible. Banking and universities also use a lot of social media and internet. Perhaps the reason why this Facebook poll didn't comply with the expected results and official anonymous research is that we don't like the thought of our opinions being preserved on Facebook forever. Putting something on Facebook doesn't just disappear, it lasts there forever. And we also have functions now on Facebook so that you can see back on your friends' Facebook histories. And sometimes this can lead to some very embarrassing notifications popping up.
Maybe this is a reason why Facebook has slowly decreased in popularity amongst teenagers in the last 6 months of 2013. And why fleeting technology such as Snapchat are proving more popular. Ailish has more on this groundbreaking app.
We'll hear about that after the break. They say the closer you are, the uglier the Snapchat. Snapchat is a new photo messaging app for smartphones that was developed in 2011 by Evan Spiegel, Robert Murphy, and later by Stanford University students. Using the app, users can take photos, record videos, add text and drawings, and send them to their friends. The appeal of Snapchat, though, is that users can set a time limit for how long recipients can view the snap before it completely disappears. So it's no surprise that users are often sending compromising, embarrassing, and even explicit snaps. And what makes this problematic is that the photos and videos don't just vanish as advertised. The so-called sexting app has come back to bite users because of the ability to take screenshots of the photos. Pages of Snapchat leaked and Snapchat exposed have begun appearing all over the internet, where people can send in snaps that they've screenshotted to be seen by the whole world. This has led to some pretty scandalous images being viral on the internet. A private school in England, Eton, has even banned its Wi-Fi access to the site for the fear of inappropriate images being plastered on the net and giving the school a bad name. Spiegel suggests that the reason for Snapchat's success is because it totally revolutionises the whole concept of the traditional profile-based social media. He says that this only made sense in the context of the binary experience of the offline and online. Basically, Snapchat is fun, instant, fast, fleeting, and ephemeral. It redefines how we see social media. We used to understand it in the context of separate offline and online worlds. But Snapchat researcher Jurgensen says that Snapchat is there to be the breaking point between online and offline space. It rejects the fundamental unit of organisation, where the comments and likes surrounding a photo used to be the communication. But now with Snapchat, the photo is the communication. Snapchat has turned down a multi-billion-dollar offer from Facebook and has collected $120 million in funding. Snapchat is now sharing more than 400 million snaps every day, according to CEO Evan Spiegel, which is 50 million more than photos uploaded to Facebook. So is Facebook losing its cool? Stats show that a lot of our generation are moving away from Facebook and onto popular photo apps such as Instagram and Snapchat. This may be because almost all growth in social platform use is coming from our mobile phone devices. Or maybe it's because of an increase in middle-aged people using Facebook. After all, we don't really want our mums to see what we get up to on the weekends. Apps such as Snapchat, Viber, WhatsApp are changing the way that we communicate in a big way, leading to the first predicted reduction in SMS text messaging volumes this year. According to the Global Web Index, Facebook has decreased by 3% in popularity over the last 6 months of 2013, whereas Instagram has increased by 23%. Here at Mediopolis, we think that Snapchat gives us a great opportunity to be creative, and these are some of our favourite Snapchat artworks as seen on BuzzFeed.
Thank you, Ailish, for that very exciting Snapchat segment. My name is Georgia Baker, and I was fortunate enough to have a phone conference with Jeffrey McTainch. Jeffrey, how are you doing today? Thank you for coming on the show.
Great, thank you. Pleasure to be on the program.
As you are a relatively new journalist, we thought it would be very valuable to hear what you think about the media and how you feel it affects our society and our generation. Jeffrey, do you sense a generational change between those of the older generation in your workplace, between those of you who are fresh out of broadcasting and journalism school?
These days, journalists, young and old, have to use the tools in front of them. There have been various advancements in technology, Twitter, Facebook, Skype, all of these types of things, which actually make the job a little bit easier in terms of eliminating distance, so you can actually get a hold of people. You can do interviews in all parts of the world now, all times of day, and actually get all the content you want that perhaps in the past that it would have been a lot more difficult to get a hold of these people and conduct these interviews. But I think the other part of it is that being a journalist nowadays is still very much the same as being a journalist back before these advancements which I've just mentioned. The ethics are still the same, the principles are still the same, interviewing technique is still the same, telling a story, the way you do that is still very much the same. The core essentials of being a journalist and what it means to be a journalist and a reporter and a writer is still very much as it was.
Yes, and has the news gathering process changed very much due to vast technological advancements?
The news gathering process most certainly has changed. Since I've been involved in the industry as a broadcast journalist, I probably haven't noticed it so much. But certainly for those people in the newsrooms of the older generation, they would have noticed over the years through the 90s and into the 2000s the advancement of the internet, Twitter, Facebook, Skype, Instagram, all of these types of things really are a modern day part of or an everyday part of what it is to be a journalist these days. You know, I use Twitter every single day. At Radio Live and at TV3, often checking Facebook. How often do you see Facebook referred to in the news these days? People's Facebook pages are used to show pictures of people in news stories. Twitter these days used to break news. Skype as well. I mean, if you wanted to get a hold of somebody in Antarctica in the 1990s, your best bet would have been by phone, if you were lucky. These days, you could be chatting with somebody on Skype on their laptop on an icebreaker in Antarctica. So the advancements certainly are tremendous in terms of news gathering for journalism, and certainly they have changed. I think it's just a matter of trying to utilise and harness all of the different mediums that are available to us now as journalists to do our job effectively.
And Jeffrey, do you feel radio is a dying medium with all this new social media and technology?
I don't think radio is dying at all. We've seen this throughout history with the advent of radio. In fact, when that came about, people were concerned that that might have been the end of the print media as we knew it. It wasn't. Newspapers have survived. Radio survived when television came around. Radio with pictures. People thought that the advent of television would have spelt the end of radio as we knew it. It didn't happen. Again, when the internet came around, there were concerns that that would have an effect on television sales and the future of TV and the media in television. Really, is radio dead? No, radio is really a fantastic medium for immediacy. You know, I can recall back to the Canterbury earthquakes in 2011, just how useful radio was to really get the point across. Radio became so important for the people of Canterbury. They tuned in to the network, and as a network, Radio Live really became a public service. The updates were immediate. It really served a fantastic purpose, and in such a time of need. Is radio dying? Absolutely not. It will always have a place. Internet radio is becoming more and more common. Probably not so much here in New Zealand, but certainly in the future it will be readily available in cars and we will be using it. But certainly radio has that key factor, and that is immediacy.
Jeffrey, that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're more than welcome. My pleasure.
Up next, we'll be hearing from our host, Marley, who spoke with the Head of Department for Media, Film and Communications at the Otago University. Don't go away.
Hi, and welcome back to Mediopolis. I'm here with Dr. Brett Nichols, the Acting Head of Department for Media, Film and Communications at the Otago University. Thanks for coming along, Brett.
Thanks.
So throughout the show, we've been examining technological advancements, social media and all-purpose communication devices. What are your thoughts on the rapidly changing interface of social media? Should we be concerned, aware, scared, or should we just embrace it?
Well, I think, yes, I mean, these new technologies should be embraced, but, with the proviso that we do this cautiously. So, I'm not an anti-technology kind of guy. I think that, technologies are obviously an integral part of our societies. So, I think that what should happen is that rather than technologies being run by big, powerful corporations. I actually think that, users and everyday people should actually take control of social media. So, at the moment there's a big struggle in social media around the issue of surveillance, corporate surveillance and state surveillance. And I mean, this is a major kind of issue, and I think the shape of social media in the future will be determined by, what happens now. So, I hope that, users of social media actually kind of rise up and resist the corporatisation and the increasing kind of surveillance, and try to create a free, open form of social interaction that's enabled by these technologies.
The youth of society use Facebook as a form of interacting with other people and formulating a personal profile which can be shared in a very public domain. Constructing a self-reflective online identity to interact with makes us feel validated. Do you feel that Facebook and other social networks are positive avenues for the youth of today to express themselves?
Well, first off, I think I'd be a little cautious about the term technological advancement, because I think that this is an ideologically loaded term, because it suggests that that social media, that digital technologies and so on actually improve everything. Whereas I think that technologies really, what technologies are like really depends upon the social context in which they're kind of taken up. So, on the face of it, things like Facebook and other forms of social media are neither good nor bad. The important thing is, what actually happens with these things, how people, put them to use. These are the most important things, I think.
Some would say that the preservation of our own creature comforts through technology is leading towards a biologically inferior yet technologically superior society. Our priorities seem to have shifted dramatically. Instead of seeking food and shelter on a day-to-day basis, we seek self-validation, comfort and entertainment. Would you agree with certain academic writers who claim the young digital natives or younger strands of society are the most selfish generation yet?
Well, you see, this is a very common claim that's made by the older generation, in their way that they think about the younger generation, that's been going on for thousands of years. So I don't think there's anything particularly new about that at all. So no, I don't think that this is the most selfish generation that's ever existed. That's just way too big a claim, from what I can actually tell. Not at all. The idea of social media is precisely about, we could say that these are new forms of social expression, but actually at the end of the day, really, there isn't actually anything new about these forms of social expression, because you still have, the usual kinds of categories: race, class, gender, sexuality, and so on. The way that societies are stratified comes to play within this. So I'd say that positive forms of expression are forms of expression that don't vilify other races, that promote equality and so on. I like forms of expression that are actually fairly self-aware, as opposed to the kind of what it's like to be me sorts of stories. They're pretty uninteresting and boring, I think.
I just have one more question for you, and it's a tricky one. Do you feel like there is a double standard within the media industry regarding depictions of gender? Are women at a disadvantage when it comes to being heard?
Well, I mean, there's a few facets to that. I could just say, without particularly studying that area, that I strongly suspect, that the media, the corporate media's representation of, and I'd say white middle-class young women, is actually very contradictory. On the one hand, there is this, you have to be, young women have to be fashionable. But on the other hand, they need to be, individuals and agents of their own change. So this is this contradiction between, a slavish conformism to fashion, whilst at the same time, being different and being an individual. I'd say this is the contradiction within representations of women in corporate media.
Well, it was really great having you on the show, Brett, and we thank you so much for your time. I'm definitely feeling more enlightened when it comes to thinking about our digital society. Now, as the last 2 episodes have shown, the media has a profound influence on us and the way we live. As our show Mediopolis has an all-female cast and crew, we thought it would be fitting to leave you with a video analysing representations of women in the media today. There have definitely been many female success stories this year. We've seen many female stars rise to fame, yet we have also seen the more negative aspects of gendered ideals. Thank you to our guests and those watching on our TV. My name is Marlies Martin, and thank you for watching.
And the most important aspect of this flawlessness is that it cannot be achieved. No one looks like this, including her.
They were digging a new foundation in Manhattan, and they discovered a slave cemetery there. Made their souls rest easy now that lynching is frowned upon. We've moved on to the electric chair, and I wonder who's going to be president, Tweedledum or Tweedledummer, and who's going to have the big blockbuster box office this summer. Maybe we could put up a wall between the houses and the highway, and then you could go your way and I could go my way.
When will the United States elect a female president?
2040 or 2050.
That late?
Let's hope so.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
Breast implants. Did you have them or not? Because that's all over the internet about you in mainstream media.
You know, they put values in all the things that are wrong, and that it's okay to just point at people and call them ugly and call them fat, and they call it fun and welcome to the real world. And it's like, that shouldn't be the real world. You just have to look past it. You look how you look and be comfortable. Like, what are you gonna do? Be hungry every single day to make other people happy? That's just dumb.
Lorde!
We're driving Cadillacs to our dream, but everybody's on.
What makes you dominant and me submissive? And who died made you scientist in chief?
Boy, you'd better quit all your sexist ways. So here I'll manifesto of the modern age. It's time to undermine the masculine confines, 'cause we don't wanna grind. So we can this man's world with all its girls don't deserve it, and that's why we quit. We ain't good girls, we are scholastic, smart and sarcastic.
He's just a liar with nothing to lie about. He's just a liar with nothing to lie about. He's just a liar with nothing to lie about. He's just a liar with, he's just a liar with, he's just a liar with nothing to lie about. He's just a liar with nothing to lie about. He's just a liar with nothing to lie about.
So I have something to say to all of you that have something nasty to say about me or other women that are built like me, women that sometimes or all the time look like this, women whose names you know, women whose names you don't, women who've been picked on, women whose husbands put them down, women at work or girls in school. I have one thing to say to you. Kiss my